Now, the country's economic momentum is likely to gain further traction this year, and the National Bureau of Statistics is set to release the May inflation numbers on Monday. For more on the Nigerian macroeconomic space, we're now joined by Babatunde Obani, Principal Associate of Mergers and Acquisitions at UBA Capital. Thanks very much for your time, Babatunde. Let's just begin with the focus on that inflation. Let's talk about that inflation number. So we've got those numbers set to be released next week. What are you expecting?
All right, thank you very much, Godfrey, for having me this evening. For the inflation number to be released on the Monday, we expect to see moderate at the current level at which it is, or at best, to see a very marginal decrease, like 10 to 20 basis points from the level of 9.1% we saw for April. So we're looking at something within the range of, let's say, 8.9% to 9%. And we hinge our argument on three main reasons. First is that the CBN has maintained, like we see from even the last MPC meeting, for close to 1.5 years now, they've maintained a very, 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 very solid stance on monetary policies, which is also going to continue to rein inflationary pressure. That's one. And also the intelligence we conducted by ourselves has also shown that the major components of the CPI has really not moved much like we've seen in the month of April. And also, we also look at what really transpired in 2012 to see the levels that we saw in 2012, which was moved by, the impact of removal of subsidy, which took like 3-4 months to actually set into the system. And barring to all circumstances, barring all this is into the situation of which we currently have, we expect that inflation will probably be at the current level or go down by 10 to 20 basis points.
So if I'm reading you correctly, then what you're saying is that we're unlikely to see any change in the monetary policy stance as a result of this set of numbers, or at least it won't have much of an impact.
Well, for now, we don't expect to see that change. Pretty much what we saw at the outcome of the last MPC meeting was not a surprise. And if you see the trading pattern in the market, that has actually been priced in. We didn't really expect to see the change in the NPR in as much as we have a threat to the exchange rate. And we know that the CBN is really bent on defending the exchange rate and also the inflation rate. So we pretty much for the next probably couple of meetings, say the two next meetings, we don't still expect to see, if everything remains the same, we don't expect to see a change in NPR.
Let's look forward, because we've also seen at the same time the Naira coming under pressure, weakening against the US dollar, like all other major market currencies, because of all this uncertainty around what the US Federal Reserve will do with these monetary policy easing policies. Now, from a Nigerian perspective, what impact do you expect the weakening currency to have on inflation going forward, and potentially then on monetary policy?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that question.
So I'm asking the kind of impact that you expect to see as a result of the weaker Naira currency. We have seen it weakening against the US dollar. I think I just read out 162 against the US dollar today.
Okay, all right. Well, I wouldn't want to share your sentiment that the currency is weakening, because what we're seeing is just mere volatilities. And like I said earlier on, that we are very confident that the CBN has what it takes to defend the currency at the benchmark of what it has sent for it, meaning that 3% up or down around the 155 mark to dollar. But of course, there are times you see some spikes in the market based on market trading and some peculiarities. But we don't really see much threat to the foreign exchange going forward.
Absolutely. So let's talk the broader economic picture now. My intro said that we're expecting Nigerian economic momentum to pick up, but we have seen a very uncertain global environment. What are you expecting from your side in terms of Nigeria growing further than the current rate that has been expected? The big story we seized on here in Southern Africa is that Nigeria, at some point in the next few years, is going to overtake South Africa as Africa's biggest economy.
Well, we expect to see the current growth rate that we've seen. If you look at where the economy picked up from Q2 2012, there's been a consistent growth, which peaked at 6.99% for Q4 2012. But pretty much for Q1 2013, we saw it came down to around 6.56%. And we know the reasons that affected the growth rate. But now, talking on the outlook, we believe that the economy has the capacity to still grow at this current level, or to maintain that trajectory that we've seen in the couple of last quarters. And that means that we expect the economy to grow very close to the 7 digits. In as much as we continue to see growth from the non-oil sector like we've seen in the last 3-4 quarters, driving that growth that we expect to see, we are very confident that the economy will move very close to the 7% digits. And saying how does the impact of what happens in the global economy affect us? Definitely yes, it does have an impact because you can really not isolate what we do here from the global economy.
Yeah.
But what we've done is also that the economy has actually been structured in a way to prepare for shocks. We built our foreign reserve in a very, impressive rate. In this year alone, it's grown from like $44 billion to like $48.5 billion as we speak. So we have all what it takes to adjust and to take care of all these peculiarities and the shocks that might come in. But we are very much confident that the economy will grow within the range of very close to 7% for the rest of the year.